Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishachaраchamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamudhara Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidwaram. Hari Om. In the last session, we had seen the student as though has a question that, oh teacher, tell me how to strengthen this knowledge. I have heard Vedanta, but time and again I feel that it has not assimilated with my personality. So then the teaching came, just like that Arani, 2 blocks are churned. One is my Antahkarana, my mind is the lower block, and the top block is Mahavakya. Continuous churning has to go on for me to own up this knowledge. That spark, which might have initially started off like one occasional thought of what? About this knowledge that I am Brahma. I am unconditioned. That understanding initially might be a thought which has, occasionally come to us in between morning class we attended, in the evening or somewhere, one thought came. But gradually, that spark has to become like a huge fire. Means any experience that comes, any other idea that comes, this knowledge should be powerful to burn it down. Uditava gatir jwala sarva ajnana indhanam dahet. So that is the first sadhana given to all of us. And teacher says this is the main sadhana actually. Having heard this teaching, doing mananam and nididhyasanam. Actually speaking, nothing else is as important as these 2 sadhanas in Vedanta. Reflecting upon the teaching in line with Shastra and coming to single-pointedly own up that teaching. Everything else is to support this. I memorize shlokas, write, notes. All of it should help me to do these things. If it does not, then it has not served its full purpose. Means my mind should be able to remain in Vedanta for an extended period of time. And the second advice given to a sadhaka, not in Atma Bodha, in other place, in one Upanishad is, don't talk too much. Nanudhyayid bahun shabdhan vacho viglapanam hi tata. Upanishad Rishi says, don't discuss about other topics too much. Don't talk too much means don't talk about other things to a large extent. And Gurudev's elaboration, on this topic in Narada Bhakti Sutra is beautiful. When Naradji also gives a similar advice, So Gurudev says, if you say I don't want to talk anything other than Vedanta, I'll be the only person, Advaitam I will be. All friends, nobody is around me. So the way to interpret that is not to have delight in talking about other things. Our goal is to do Atma Ramanam, to do Ramanam in Bhagavan. Vedanta Ramanam is our goal. And if I take delight in discussing other topics, these both will never happen. So that is the second advice given to a sadhaka. And third advice is to keep increasing sadhana chatushtaya until this Aham Brahmasmi Vakya becomes crystal clear. Aham Brahmeti Vakyartho Yavad Artho Dudi Bhavet Shamadhi Sahitas Abhyased Shravanadikam. This is an advice given in Vakya Vritti by Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji. He says, until this Aham Brahmasmi becomes very, very strong and firm in me, I promise you, O teacher, the student is promising the teacher in that text, until that point, I will keep increasing my sadhana chatushtaya. And for that, I don't have to go anywhere. Stay wherever I am. Bhagavan sends the right circumstances, making sure that I respond to them with this mindset that I am here as a sadhaka. I am here to go through this as a sadhaka, being able to forbear things. Yam hina vyathante te purusham purusharshaba. Samadukha sukham dhiram somrutattvaya kalpate. Bhagavad Gita we had seen that one who is able to forbear pairs of opposites. That person will be the fit adhikari for owning up this knowledge. So now came another topic which was regarding Brahma Jnana Swarupa. What is the nature of Brahma Vidya, or how does this Brahma Vidya take place in our Antakarana? So we'll chant that shloka, 43rd. Arune neva bodhena purvam santamase hrute tata avirbhavedatma swayamevam shumaniva. For any knowledge to take place, right? Generally it is what we are familiar with is knowledge of objects in the world outside. Two things have to happen. Step number one is this mind has to take the form of that object. Okay, mind has to take the form of that object, then only it will remove ignorance about that object. Okay, mind first step is it will take the form of that object and it will remove ignorance about that object. But not only that, this thought by itself is inert. Neither it can modify, neither it can take any form or shape. Because it is presided over by consciousness, that reflected consciousness will come to own it up. Own up what? Own up that knowledge. So step number one is mind taking form of that object. And what is the purpose of that? To remove ignorance about that thing. And step number two is reflected consciousness illumining that knowledge and owning up. Now, it is not that, step one happens and then step two after some time. There's no time lag between both of them. Bhagavan's mechanism is such, both are simultaneously happening all the time. The technical name for the first step is called as Vritti Vyapti. Vritti means a thought. Vyapti means the act of pervading. Okay, pervasiveness of a thought is called as Vritti Vyapti. And the pervasiveness of reflected consciousness in owning up that knowledge is called as phala vyapti. Phala vyapti. First one is vritti vyapti. So this is the general, procedure while gaining knowledge of anything in this world. Through any sense organ, whichever knowledge we are going to gather, this is the process it will follow. Now we are very familiar with eyes, right? Seeing an object through our eyes. If I want to know some object, first thing is eyes have to be there. And then mind has to take a thought, or mind has to take a form of that object. If that doesn't happen, even if eyes are there, eyes might be seeing it, still we don't see that object. Just like, whenever I go for a walk in the neighborhood, invariably, every time I feel, oh, where did this house come from? Now, why did I feel that way? Because vritti did not take place before about this particular house. Okay, so that is the way of vritti vyapti, that it will take information from outside by this mind taking the shape of that object. Okay, vritti vyapti it is called. And I don't stop there. I say, I know this house. That knowing portion cannot belong to an inert object. Thought by itself is inert. So that thought doesn't have ability to know or anything. So that knowing portion comes from reflected consciousness. So what is the statement? I know this house. Now you can apply it for any input coming from organ of perception. Not only eyes. Sometimes, when you are cooking, after that you ask somebody, can you taste the ginger in that thing that I have made? And this person, puts it on their tongue, and they're trying to see whether there is ginger or not. What is the mind trying to do there? Mind is trying to create a vritti to find that ginger. And many a times, if some food is given, we just eat it, right? And then if somebody says, oh, this was there in this food, did you notice it? We say, no, I didn't see it at all. So if vritti doesn't form of that particular thing on this rasanendriya, then also knowledge does not take place. This is all cognitive science. Okay. Vedanta's thinking about cognitive science. So he says rasanendriya also is like that. Ear also will be the same way. To be able to distinguish sound, identify sound, mind has to take shape of that object. Now this is in the case of objects of this world, right? Vritti vyapti is needed, and then phala vyapti is needed, that reflected consciousness claiming this knowledge that I know this thing. Now, what is the procedure? How does this happen when it comes to Brahma Vidya? When I have to know I am Brahman, do I need this vritti vyapti or not? So Vedanta says, any knowledge, if it has to take place, it will take place only through a thought. Means we should not be under some understanding or some idea that this is some mystical experience that is happening, that Brahma Vidya will happen in some mysterious way, unlike other forms of knowledge. Vedanta says no. Brahma Vidya also happens through a thought, just like any other knowledge takes place through a thought. And if I want to create a thought, I will need the locus of the thought, which is mind or antakarana yuka. Means for Brahma Vidya, I need that vessel of this mind for this vritti to come and take place in that antakarana. That is why so much of importance is given on cleaning this antakarana so that the vessel is pure and this milk doesn't get spoiled inside that vessel. Milk means Brahma Vidya which has come. So first step, vritti vyapti is needed. So this thought, aham brahmasmi, is that vritti. But along with vritti vyapti, question is, do I need phala vyapti also? Do I need phala vyapti? Does this reflected consciousness have to claim that I know consciousness? So there Vedanta says, vritti vyapti is needed, phala vyapti is not needed. Because nature of Atman is such that it is of the nature of consciousness. Chaitanya Rupa it is, Chaitanya Swarupa it is. We don't need reflected consciousness to illuminate. Okay, that is where this statement you will keep hearing. In Vedanta, sometimes we say Brahman is aprameya. And on another hand, we say Drishyate tu agraya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhihi, means one who has sukshma buddhi. In that, through that buddhi alone, we will be able to know this Brahma Tattva. So now both sentences seem contradictory. Aprameya means it is beyond the mind also you say. On other hand, you say it is understood with a pure mind. So how do you reconcile? It is said with a pure mind, vritti vyapti will take place. But we do not need phala vyapti in that mind. Now Guruji had simplified this even further. You know, what is the role of phala vyapti? To claim that I know this thing. Objects of this world are inert. They don't have their own ability to illumine. So first thought will go and remove ignorance. And after that, this phala vyapti will happen. And this phala vyapti will say, I know this object. I know this house, I know this. So I know that portion is the role of phala vyapti. So Guruji said, saying this statement that I have intellectual knowledge about Brahman and I want experience of Brahman. It's like saying, I have had vritti vyapti now. Now I need to have phala vyapti. Means seeking experience of Brahman means I have not understood the nature of Brahman. Or I have to think more. Why always early morning, say you are not understood or anything. So, phala vyapti means understanding that Brahman is aparoksha. It is ever non-different from me and it is self-shining. So, I don't have to do anything to bring, to illumine Atman. In many temples, especially the place where I come from in Goa, during Ram Navami time, Janmashtami time, during Aarti, what they do is, one person will stand at the very, end of the temple, outside. And there is a straight line, right, where the Vigraha is, and the doors are all in a straight line. And it is very dark inside. I mean, the temple is very dark. So with a mirror, that person will be reflecting the sunlight on the deity. After the Aarti, this is the tradition there. And we used to wonder, why they are doing that you have this one, beam of light coming from outside to inside. If we understand Vedanta, that practice will get more meaning. Means it's a symbolic way of indicating that Bhagwan, in your light alone, this entire world is illumined. In the light of that Chaitanya alone, all objects of this world get illumined But to illumine you, I don't need any other light. Means to illumine the sun, that person doesn't have to take that mirror and try to move it up. That is this example. Tata avirbhaved atma swayam eva amshumaniva. After this jnanam has come and it has removed the darkness, or this aruna, early morning sun has come, the sun rays, they have come and they have removed the darkness, then Atman is self-shining. Nothing else is needed to illumine Atma. Just like nothing else is needed to illumine the sun, Atman is also self-shining. Tata avirbhavedatma swayam eva amshuman iva. Okay, so this is an important verse. Brahma Jnana Swarupa, that is indicated over here. One verse we already saw before. Ajnana kalusham jivam jnanabhyasat vinirmanam krutva jnanam swayam naschet jalam katakarenuvat. Right, in the beginning of Atma Bodha we had seen. That is another aspect of Brahma Jnana Swarupa. Means if vritti comes, it does not come and stay. It will come after having done its work. Vritti Vyapti has taken place. Along with the Antakarana, it will get dissolved. Okay, that is also, we should connect it with this particular verse. This verse is very special for another reason, for me particularly, because when we were studying, we were made to speak for 5 minutes, after every text. So this was the first verse that I had spoken on in Sandipani. 5 minutes we had to speak. Preparation was 3 hours. Writing all notes, everything. But then we had, a different way of thinking about verses. So now the student might have another question, that you said the sun comes, right? Arune neva bodhena purvam san tamase hrute tata avirbhaved atma. Means, does this Atman also rise like that sun? All this looks like a technical way of putting it. I will give some other statements, which you might be more familiar with. Such and such person attained liberation on this day. This statement we hear, right? Or even we ourselves think that real liberation is an event in time. Something has to happen, and at some point I will get liberated. So that idea Vedanta wants to shake over here. Okay, so 44th verse. Atma tu satatam praptopi. Atma tu satatam praptopi. Apraptavada vidyaya. Apraptavada vidyaya. Tannashe praptavad bhati. Tannashe praptavad bhati. Swakantha bharanam yatha. Swakantha bharanam yatha. Atma tu satatam praptopi. Apraptavada vidyaya. Tannashe praptavad bhati. Swakantha bharanam yatha. Atma tu satatam praptaha. This Atma Tattva is ever attained. There is never a time it is away from me. Means, what am I trying to put forth effort then if it is already attained? You see, it is attained but unknown. Apraptavat avidyaya. Because there is ignorance about my own true nature, I don't know my own glory. Apraptavat avidyaya. Apraptavat it is said, as though it is unattained. As though it is not available to me. Tannashe praptavad bhati. Tannashe means avidya nashe. do I really get Atman? You say, no, it is as though you have attained Atman. That what means that, as though. Tannashe praptavat bhati. Why praptavat? Because if something is attained through knowledge, means that thing was not lost to begin with. If something is attained through knowledge, that thing was not lost to begin with. If it was actually lost, then to get that thing, to attain that thing, I cannot, knowledge alone is not sufficient. I need knowledge plus karma. But Atma Tattva is ever attained, so we don't need any karma, all we need is clear knowledge. And even after knowledge, it is as though attained. Means something which was already there, even to say that I got this thing after knowledge is an compromise statement. What is example? Swakantha bharanam yatha. You know, just like a necklace, a very thin necklace, if it is there, and sometimes in the hurry, if it has gone behind somewhere and you are searching everywhere, where is it gone? Somebody comes and gives you Mahavakya. It is right here. You don't have to search anywhere. So having found that necklace, having understood that it was already here, can you actually say that I have attained the necklace? In one way it is true, but it is not actually true. It was already there. I was not cognizant of this fact. That is why it is tannashe praptavad bhati. Means my running around should stop after knowing that this necklace is already here. So Vedanta would say our running around in the world should at least slow down. If not stop, at least slow down by knowing that Ananda is not outside, it is my Swarupa. Tannashe praptavad bhati swakantha bharanam yatha. Means in Vedanta, there is one word, which we say that attainment of anything in Vedanta is praptasya prapti. Of Atma Tattva, attainment is of that which is already attained. Praptasya prapti and nivrittasya nivritti. What about sorrow? You see, sorrow is elimination of that which was never there in me. Nivrittasya, that which was never there in me, removing that thing is the role of Vedanta. So both these things we should think more, on our own. What is the meaning of praptasya prapti, and how come dukkham is nivrittasya nivritti? I will not answer that question. Maybe next class you can share it on the Q&A. And why is liberation not an event in time? Because liberation is knowing myself as that Atman in which time and space appears. If I take time to be real, then something out of this creation I have taken to be real. And within that time, I want to pinpoint now. On this day, such and such time, there are boards I've heard, where people print that thing. It's such and such Mahatma on this time attained liberation. And then you can come for advice. So Vedanta says, no, this is not mysticism, it is Praman Vyapara. Means knowing clearly that this Chaitanya Swarupa is my nature, and it was ever of this nature, even when I was running around not knowing its glory. And that removal of ignorance, that alone is sufficient to know this Atma Tattva. I don't have to do anything else. This is the fundamental difference. Many a times people mix up the method of knowing Brahman also. Means if you go for studying Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there you will hear this statement. Patanjali Yoga Sutra is theory. It is only giving you the philosophy portion. After you have learned this philosophy, you need to go and do your own practice. Okay, you need to go and do your own practice. Without that practice, this philosophy is not complete. And then they come to Vedanta. And same understanding they will apply here. What is the understanding? They will say, I have heard about Vedanta, and that is only theory. Now I have to go and do some practice. Vedanta says that practice is listen again. Okay. We start as Shrota. We start as one doing Shravanam. The culmination is, I am not Shrota, I am not Manta, but I am Brahma. But if it is some object other than Brahma, like if I have to learn an asana, then I need philosophy, theory first, and then I need practice of it. If I have to do pranayama, first I need theory, then I need practice of it. So that we should understand clearly. It is not that I have theory first and then knowledge. Okay, both of it happen simultaneously as long as we hear clearly with single pointed attention, log in on time, and then make sure that we are getting the main essence of this teaching. Now this same portion, right? That knowledge alone is sufficient. There are several aspects that we have to think about. And there is one Pauranika example also given. So both of that we will see. So when we say, I don't know myself, right? Atma tu satatam praptopi apraptavat avidyaya. So there Vedanta says, it is not that I don't know myself completely. I do have some knowledge about myself as Atma, or I might not use the word Atma, but I know that I am a sentient being. I am of the nature of existence. Means I exist, that at least I know. And I also know that I experience Ananda. And always we should remember, Ananda is never experienced outside of me. Ananda is always within. So I have some idea, but I have erroneously understood each one of them. Means I know that I am sentient, but I don't know that I am unconditioned. And this sentient principle alone is a substratum of this creation. That knowledge will come through Vedanta. What we saw right previously, I am Asanga. So I know that I am consciousness, I am Chaitanya, but I have mixed it up with mind, I have mixed it up with body, and then that combined packet I know. Guruji gives an example and he says, this is just like eating a chocolate with a wrapper. I know that there is sweetness in it, but I'm not able to enjoy it fully because of those conditionings on top. So knowing myself to be Chaitanya is one, but knowing myself in my true sense, that is what Vedanta is teaching us over here. Without conditionings, asanga, and infinite. Okay, that is how we should know. Now, this particular verse and this particular example, right? That Atman is ever attained and only knowledge is sufficient. one example Mahatmas give, and that example is from Mahabharata. So all of you know, Karna, the time when he grew up or time when he was born, Kunti Mata offered Karna to Samashti. She said, "O Surya Devata, you brought him here, now you take care." And then he was brought up by a charioteer, and the mother's name was Radha. So he was known all through his life as Radheya. Even if you read in some versions of Mahabharata, he is not referred as Karna in the beginning, Radheya he is. But later, just before this Mahabharata war is about to begin, Mother Kunti goes to Karna. And it is said Karna was inside, and she talks to him from outside, and he just hears her words. And finally, what she says is, "You are not Radheya, you are Kaunteya." Now he is hearing something, but he has a lot of doubts, and he does not believe in the beginning. So Mahatma said, this is the same case with all of us. We are that Karna. You ask, who are you? I say, I'm son of Mr. So-and-so. So right now, the identity is of Radheya. And whatever titles that we have taken upon us, Shruti Mata, just like Kunti Mata went and told Karna, Shruti Mata comes and tells us that you are not son of so-and-so, you are Brahma. Now, this statement is not easy to digest or, even understand what are they trying to tell us. That you are not this finite individual, you are substratum of this creation. So that is where, again, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, or Mananam in particular more has to be done. What are conditionings and how they are superimposed upon Chaitanya. In Tattva Bodha, we are doing so much of thinking, right, of how these conditionings came about. All of that is not only for, some inquiry that we are doing. That is just to emphasize these points. That all conditionings, including body, mind, intellect, has come from consciousness, but whatever has come from consciousness is only an appearance. It is not actually there. And if you see in Ramayana also, same question Parvati ji is going to ask Lord Shiva. As Sati ji also, she asked a similar question. That people say that this Dasharatha Putra is Rama. And this Rama is alone Brahma. So I'm confused. How is this Dasharatha Putra that all-pervading infinite Brahman? And I see so many vikara coming. He gets angry sometimes. And when I saw him in Sati Vesha, he was running around lamenting for Sita ji. So how come somebody who has a physical body, somebody who has a mind, somebody who has all vikara, how can that person be Brahma? When it is put as a third person, right, then it becomes easy for us to analyze it. Oh, Satiji has so much, doubt and everything. He said that doubt is our doubt. Upanishads are telling us that I am Brahma, I am Jagadadishthana, and I feel I am son of so and so. So that is where Vedanta says we should come back and do Mananam. Now the student is asking, how does this delusion come about? And what do I need? What do I need to do to get over this delusion? How does it come about? And what, having done what, this delusion will go away. 45th verse. Sthanau purushavad bhrantya. Sthanau purushavad bhrantya. कृता ब्रह्मणि जीवता, कृता ब्रह्मणि जीवता, जीवस्य तात्विके रूपे, जीवस्य तात्विके रूपे, तस्मिन् दृष्टे निवर्तते, तस्मिन् दृष्टे निवर्तते। स्थाणौ पुरुषवद्भ्रान्त्या कृता ब्रह्मणि जीवता, जीवस्य तात्विके रूपे, तस्मिन् दृष्टे निवर्तते. This was Gurudev's favorite example. Sthano Purushavad Bhrantya. In that post, seeing a ghost, right? Evening time, not too much of sunlight. So there is a post standing there, and this person sees a ghost. Why did that happen? How did that come about? He says because of delusion. But what was the main thing in that delusion? He says main thing in that delusion was not knowing the nature of that post. The substratum, that nature I did not know. But this mind is very good. It doesn't stop there. Not knowing the nature of substratum, it projects something else. So misapprehension or non-apprehension and then misapprehension. What outside example is okay, but it is happening right here. He says, Brahmani jivata api bhrantya kruta. In Brahman, which is my own swarupa, in that I have superimposed this jivatva. Just like in that post, there is ghost superimposed. In Brahman also, jivatva is superimposed. What is the way out? How do I come out of this? It says, jivasya tatvike rupe tasmin drishte paravare. Know the nature of substratum of this jivatva, which is nature of Brahma. 34th verse, what we had seen, right? Nirguno, Nishkriyo, Nityaha. That is the nature of substratum. That is my true nature. Having known that, this jivatva will be understood as a false perception. When that happens, tasmin drishte nivartate. What will go away? He says this delusion will go away. Bhranti nivartate. And along with that delusion, fear also should go away. Just like I cannot say that I don't have any delusion about whether it is a post or a ghost. But my fear has not gone. I'm afraid to go near that post. What if the ghost comes out? So Bhranti and Bhaya will go away together. Until that point, I have to prepare myself, do all sadhanas, purify my mind, and clearly understand what is the teaching of Vedanta. And what is this jivatva? Any titles that I am taking upon myself. Any title that I am taking upon myself. After the word I am, whatever is being added, I am a brahmachari. I am in such and such place. So whatever is added after that I am, all of that is the signature of jivatva. No matter how great it is just the greatest jiva. And Upanishads say, until that jivatva is there, fear cannot be removed. Means even if that post, is an illusion, it will keep giving lot of fear. More we will see in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om, everyone. I hope all of you are getting a chance to listen to Puja Gurudev's lectures. It is starting in few minutes from now. Okay, Hari Om.